Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu5 and this is a reflection video of my first IDPA shooting competition. A little bit of background: I'm a terrible shot. Did not grow up in a household that taught tactical shooting or practical shooting. Everything is basically self-taught, reading books and trying to copy things I see. Anywho, been carrying for a while now because I'm qualified and I'm trying to ever improve my shooting skills. I read a book by IDPA. I forget the name of the book. He talks about these historical gunfighters and historical icons of practical shooting and self-defense shooting from the 1800s all the way to Jeff Cooper, Rob Latham, and all of them. I really look up to IDPA, especially when I was in junior high. In his book, he really stressed competitive shooting, and it really made me want to compete in IDPA. Anyways, there was two things that he said that really resonated with me. One, not every competition is a gunfight, but every gunfight is a competition, and that really resonated with me. And you don't want to come in second, but not in a gunfight. He also said, don't be scared to compete because you might come into last place. Most likely you won't go into last place unless you are a bozo and you break a safety rule and you're disqualified. But even if you come in last place, you've showed more courage and well, I'm going to say courage, I'm not quoting him exactly, I'm paraphrasing, than anybody else who's too scared to compete. You know, you took the steps to shoot publicly in front of other people in a very stressful environment. Don't be afraid to come in last place, and even if you do, it's not that big of a deal. So that really resonated with me. But what resonated with me the most was don't be, unless you're a bozo and you break a safety rule and get disqualified. Like, that was in the back of my mind. So I didn't want to be a bozo, especially because I looked up to Mossad, and you know, and plus I don't want to make a fool of myself at the shooting range breaking a safety rule. So I bought myself a Springfield Armory Prodigy. That's my kind of cold weather, fall, winter carry gun. And it's also kind of a competition gun. It's a discount Statco or STI. And so I'm at the gun range and I'm shooting. I cannot stress how nerve-wracking this was for me. Being a novice practical shooter or competitive shooter, for a few reasons. One, this is a completely foreign environment for me. I've never shot in this dynamic northwest-east or northeast-west paradigm. You know, you have a 180 rule, and if you break that 180 rule with your barrel of your gun, you're disqualified.
Here's what I found.
Stop that, Siri. So you're disqualified. If you muzzle yourself, you're disqualified. You know, you know, I don't know if you get disqualified for tripping and falling with your loaded gun, but I definitely did not want to trip and fall with a loaded gun. So, you know, one of my friends is actually, you know, kind of in charge of IDPA there, Kyle, and he's been featured on, I know at least one of my videos, the Bear Grylls Ultimate Survival Knife video, and he's been very encouraging. Everybody at the range was super nice and super encouraging. I was my biggest enemy. So this whole time I'm doing the shooting competition, it's like, okay, make sure don't muzzle anybody. Make sure you know where your gun's pointed and don't fall. And so when you watch my shooting at that certain stage, it looks like I'm in slow motion, and for a very important reason. I was walking the whole time. It might have been a little bit faster than a stroll, but I was basically, you know, we're just walking, shooting, and I have to give it to Cutlery Level for being very encouraging, saying, "Oh, you're prioritizing." I have a speech impediment. You're prioritizing accuracy over speed. Now, that's a side effect of what I was really doing. To me, accuracy was secondary to safety, because this is a very foreign environment for me. I've never shot in this environment, in this style of shooting. So yes, I was very slow. Yes, being slow is going to increase accuracy. Was I very accurate? Not really. In my opinion, I'm not as accurate as I feel I should. And you know, even though I was walking, you know, I was still trying to be somewhat hasty, and you know, there's a lot of stuff going in my mind. I'm going to make a separate video after I film this video explaining my mindset and how my mind works, because that's very important to understand why I act the way that I act. So anyways, prioritizing accuracy was secondary to making sure that I didn't get disqualified for breaking a safety rule. To me, it was more important to run a safe match than a highly accurate match or a highly fast match. And the people at the range really stressed, shoot your competition. Don't shoot a competition with the guy next to you coming behind you or in front of you. Just shoot your competition. And that was my goal, was to shoot my competition, which was a safe competition. So yeah, thank you for everybody encouraging me. I really appreciate it. I think I might have irritated Jeff a little bit, because I was like, no, accuracy was not on the top of my list. It was safety. And the guy who was officiating my stages, he commented, he said, "Austin, you're doing really good safety-wise, and you know, that's important." But he also pointed out my procedural penalties. And so one of the procedural penalties, the first procedural penalty that I did, was that when I was shooting behind a barricade, instead of shooting the first target that I see when I cross the barricade, I was shooting the target closest to me. And basically I wasn't slicing the pie or being very tactical. And that's a procedural penalty. You're supposed to shoot basically the first target you see, whether that's left to right or right to left, depending on the barricade. But I just kind of did the opposite. And he pointed that out to me. And then when I went on the next stage and I was shooting behind a barricade again in a similar situation, I started to do what I did first. And I was like, oh crap, I need to do it the opposite way. And I caught myself. So that's very useful feedback. You know, having someone to watch you shoot and give you feedback is like, no, you don't shoot the guy necessarily closest to you. You know, approach the barricade and shoot the first guy you see, and then in that order. So that was very useful. And then I learned something else extremely valuable when it came to shooting in this competition. You're supposed to have 3 magazines, 1 in the gun, 2 spares at a minimum. And you know, I'm new to combative shooting. I'm new to competitive shooting, and normally with my concealed handguns, they're double stack. I have 2 single stack guns, and sometimes when I carry single stack, I carry a spare magazine, but I'll carry it in the pocket, and not necessarily oriented correctly in my pocket. I tried to orient my spare magazines in this competition in my pocket correctly, where I kind of know where they're facing. But I noticed something when shooting competitively, when there's a threat of a clock, and people are watching you, and you're trying to shoot the stage successfully. Magazines in pockets are pretty terrible. You really need a spare magazine holster on a belt. I didn't have a belt. I didn't have a magazine holster, but I just noticed when I was trying to reload and fish spare magazines out of my cell phone pocket on my 511 pants and my magazine pocket in my 511 pants. Yes, you can do it, it just sucks. In my opinion, I need magazine holsters on my belt. And I really noticed when they tell you to make ready, that even before the buzzer goes off, I was struggling to get my magazine out of my pocket and loaded. So that was very eye-opening to me. That was good information to learn on the range and not in real life, even though most of my guns were high capacity. But like I said, everybody was very helpful, but everybody was very supportive, and they told me that I was very safe, which was important to me. Now, I think I said in this take of this video that I was wearing a GoPro and I failed to film the majority of the stages. There was one stage in particular that was super stressful, but it was my favorite stage. And this stage, you know, you had your no shoots and the barricades and stuff, but they also had this platform that was wobbly. It was basically a metal platform that had coil springs under it, and when you stepped on it, it rocked. This is the most unnatural thing as a shooter I've ever done, other than shooting, you know, weak-handed, weak side. And it took me 3 reloads to shoot the 3 targets. One of them was steel. The steel was what gave me trouble. And they said I hit the steel a few times, but just kind of nicked it, and it didn't fall over. And that was another procedural penalty I had. On the stage before that, I hit the steel, but it didn't fall over for whatever reason, and I moved to the next target without knocking that steel down. Anyways, on this stage, the last like 3 targets you shot, I think it was 3, there might have been 2, but I think it was 3. You're on this shaky platform that wobbles, and it took me the whole first magazine, the whole second magazine, and the third magazine is what I finished the stage on, and I had a malfunction, a failure to go into battery or feed. I don't know the technical term for it, and I had to correct that and continue shooting. And although that's unfortunate that I had a malfunction, that's useful information. That's a useful skill in a self-defense situation. If you want to stay in the fight and your gun stops shooting, you got to fix that. That, or throw your gun to the side and run at them with your knife, which I don't really want to do. But anyways, like I said, that was a useful experience on the range. So in my video that I uploaded, I shot a steel target, and then I had this target that did this. I don't even know if I hit that target. So in fact, I don't even know my hits on any of the targets. I heard them call some numbers, and the numbers were not good on some of the targets, but my mind was so crazy on, you know, trying to shoot my match. I didn't even worry about the scores. I did ask Kyle, when will I get my overall score, which I'm sure will be terrible, but I have a shooting journal, and I'm trying to keep track of my shooting progress, so that's information I want. But during the competition, I pretty much didn't pay attention to my hits. I tried to shoot the target, I tried to hit the target, but I didn't necessarily put a lot of stress in knowing my groups or whatever. I was just trying to run the course. I was trying to shoot safely, get used to moving with the gun in a very dynamic environment. I'm trying to learn to crawl before I even attempt to walk or run. I'm not even crawling at this stage, I'm learning to crawl. So this was a super cool experience. I was very stressed, it was very nerve-wracking, and I'm going to film another video talking about my mindset. But this was a very, very good experience. If you haven't shot IDPA, I really encourage you to find a club that has it, because you'll learn so much more in a single competition of IDPA than you will just trying to bullseye targets, you know, statically. After I've experienced IDPA, I'm a firm believer that IDPA is the best training you can have for a real life scenario. Short of going to gun sight and taking a shooting lesson at gun sight, to me, this is the best way to learn how to shoot combatively. So, very good experience. I'm definitely going to do it again. And so this last video that I'm going to show you is me shooting freestyle in one box at a paper target, moving to the second box and shooting strong side, and then I reload, and they reset the timer. You reload, and then you shoot freestyle on the right hand box, and then you move to the left hand box and you shoot weak side. And I got another procedural penalty, and this was my bad again. I didn't load up to division standards because my mindset was the first magazine had to be 10+1. But because they were using the timer twice and I was going to get a second buzzer, my second magazine was also supposed to be 11+1. Also, when he told me to make ready, I loaded the magazine in the gun and stuck it in my holster without racking the slide and charging it. And he was kind enough and loving enough to, before he started the timer, he's like, "You didn't make ready." And I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh, what'd I do? What'd I do? And what'd I do to not make ready?" And he's like, "Oh, you didn't, put one in the chamber." I was like, "Oh, crap." And he was kind. And he said, if we were in a serious shooting competition, like a big match, he wouldn't have told me. But because I'm new and, stuff, he was like, "I'm going to, help you out with that," which I really appreciated. And shooting strong side one-handed was awkward. Shooting weak side one-handed was mind-numbing. I was like, I never felt this sensation before in my life. This was weird. The only thing that tops that was shooting on the wobbly platform. So, you saw my shooting video. Of my commentary lasted the full length of the video because it took me a long to run the course. But if the video is still going, I'll let it play. Overall, a super cool experience, very educational, but I was just, stressed because I wanted to not make a fool of myself and get disqualified. That was the main thing that was in the back of my head, was don't be a fool and get disqualified. So, like I said, I encourage you to try this. Anyways, this video is probably getting too long. That's it. That's the video. I'm Satsu5, and I'm out.